India is in no mood to offer any concessions to the CCP as the global trade war intensifies. Fearing the impact of Trump's 120% plus tariffs, a desperate China is reaching out to India and is eyeing the huge Indian market. But the Modi government has refused to grant any concessions. Chinese carmaker BYD has once again been denied any entry into the Indian market to protect India's own automakers. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal made the government's intentions absolutely clear, saying, quote, "We need to be cautious about whom we allow to invest, keeping in mind the country's strategic and security interests," unquote. But now, gripped by the fear and panic, Chinese electronic makers are offering huge concessions and making a renewed push to expand in the Indian market. But why? Why has India suddenly become so important for Chinese businesses? President Trump has literally slammed the door on China's face. Chinese yearly exports of $500 billion to America are now at risk, and CCP is desperate to find new markets for its goods or risk an economic tsunami. Beijing thus is looking at India, hoping Prime Minister Modi will relent and grant them entry. But that's unlikely to happen. China has not only threatened India's national defense in Ladakh, but also it violates India's sovereignty with the CPEC corridor through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. And now reports are emerging of a possible Chinese airbase near the Siliguri corridor. The Modi government has firmly placed national defense over economy, so any concessions to China are unlikely to happen, especially in the midst of a global trade war. India and US, meanwhile, are locked in trade negotiations which could make India the next global factory and the center of a new supply chain free from China. US President Donald Trump has hiked import duties on Chinese goods to a staggering 125%, and a confrontational CCP has vowed to fight till the end. The next few months and years will reshape global supply chains, and India needs to protect its own market. New Delhi's strategy seems to be clear: align with the US and protect its markets from China. This is why India has allowed entry for Elon Musk's Tesla, yet the door remains firmly shut for China's BYD. Piyush Goyal elaborated by saying, quote, "We need to be convinced that they will play by the rules of the land," unquote. Calling Trump tariffs as an opportunity of a lifetime for India, Goyal raised concerns over third country dumping and a growing list of unfair trade practices by China. He added, quote, "If somebody were to ask me what would be the trigger point of where we are today and why we are going through this churn, the starting point of this actually goes to the beginning of 2000, when China was admitted as a member of the World Trade Organization," unquote. The Chinese automaker currently is the world's second largest EV seller. It has been eyeing India for years now. Reports earlier this month suggested that BYD was planning a $10 billion investment to establish a manufacturing plant in Hyderabad, but the company later denied the reports. Now, this isn't the first time BYD has faced roadblocks. Back in 2023, the Indian government had rejected a $1 billion proposal from BYD and its Indian partner Megha Engineering and Infrastructures Limited to set up a local manufacturing unit. Despite having a presence in India for several years, BYD still imports its EVs from China, making them expensive and less competitive due to heavy import duties. Meanwhile, Chinese electronics manufacturers are now offering discounts of 5% and more to Indian companies as a workaround to US tariffs as high as 125%. This move, while financially appealing to certain Indian businesses, some of whom rely on China for up to 75% of their electronic components, has other strategic implications. According to reports, some of these Chinese firms now want to set up factories in India. Chinese companies like Haier and Lenovo are eyeing India as a manufacturing base to re-export to the United States, bypassing these steep tariffs. However, India's 2020 FDI policy restricts investments from nations sharing a land border, which includes China. So while China's BYD faces resistance Apple is soaring high from Indian soil, quite literally. Apple has been airlifting iPhones out of India to the US to beat the tariff deadline. According to Reuters, the company has flown out 600 tons of iPhones, equivalent to 1.5 million devices, from Chennai to the US just since March this year. Apple's strategic pivot highlights India's growing stature as a manufacturing hub. The company has gone as far as creating a green corridor at Chennai Airport, slashing customs clearance time from 30 hours to just 6 hours. Factories run by Foxconn and Tata have begun Sunday shifts as well to meet the growing demand, with production up 20% compared to the usual levels. Apple had been boosting India operations and diversifying away from China. Now the tech giant imports a fifth of all US iPhones from India, and other global tech giants may follow suit. For the Modi government, the big challenge is balancing economic ambition with geopolitical caution. While Apple and Tesla are being supported as they deepen ties with New Delhi, China needs to respect India's sovereignty if it wants stronger economic ties. As the world reconfigures supply chains and its trade routes, India could yet emerge as a central player in the global economy. Have your say. Can India challenge China as the new factory of the world? Leave a comment, hit the like button and subscribe to Inconnect News.